Hello and very good morning from Germany. My name is Jörg Ahrens. I'm the managing director of the company PSG, Perfect Sample Gas. And I really want to welcome you warmly to this new webinar here. As we started our new webinar series, this time we talk about gas sampling probes. But I'm very happy that this is just the overview slide, the webinar probe sampling solutions for SEMS and for PAT for process analysis technology solutions. So yeah, so this is I'm very happy that I don't need to do this webinar on my own. As you might remember from the past, I'm happy to have some a very experienced person in this field here together with me. Jemsen, very good morning from Germany, and a warm welcome to our webinar. Great to have you.
And very good afternoon. I'm Jameson, and I'm speaking to you from Singapore.
Yeah,
Okay, and my
great. So,
responsibility is really
yeah,
to cover
sorry.
the Southeast Asia. All right, and I hope the supporter from Southeast Asia, and like to say, is very thank you for you to attend this webinar.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we can always see that. Yeah, we have viewers. I would say from all over the world. It's also fair to say that these days it's more difficult to catch people. I saw today there's another big webinar from the company ABB. I think they are introducing their newest technology on the FTIR. So today is kind of the webinar day, right? But yeah, I think yeah, it's a nice format. This is 30 minutes. We would like to focus on a lot of knowledge transfer. So yeah, just great to have you with us. Okay, Jensen, if you could then start the ceremony on our slides here and go to the next slide, please. So yeah, as you could see the webinar, if you go shortly back, please. Then you're gonna see that yeah, we already have done the first introduction webinar where we were very basic, I would say, or we wanted to give a good overview of the requirements probe sampling in continuous emission monitoring and process analytical systems. Yeah, and but let's give a short outlook, Jemsen, also to the next webinars, and maybe I can manage. Or later we're going to share. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Probe sampling solutions for SEMS and PAT is what we already covered, and yeah, so we can share because all of this is recorded also not just only on LinkedIn but also on our YouTube channel. So you're going to find access to this then shortly later. Great. Okay, Jemsen. Probe transportation. I think that's the next one lining up. 1st of July, we're gonna have this. I must say, I'm already very excited. I think in the last webinar we learned about there's a the probe extraction, the sample extraction, the
Mhm.
sample transportation, and obviously the sample conditioning. And which one do you like most, Jemsen?
I would find that the most interesting one would be the heated sample line. Yeah, this is
Okay.
always we always say that this is the most underestimated heated line, which
Hmm.
has the biggest surface area.
Hmm.
All right, when we talk about absorptions, desorptions, memory effects, losses, and also the response time T90. We have so much to share about the sample heated line, and it's also the material, different temperature that will, we talk about dew point. Wow, so much to share about the different types of heater element, heating cable, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Self-regulating temperature controls. Wow.
Yeah, that's true. It's a lot. It's a long list. It's a long list. Yeah. But anyways, I mean, the next webinar after this, the sample conditioning. If you go to the next slide, probe conditioning, sample conditioning would be the right word here. I think that's going to be a very interesting one. Also, because we have this different type of technologies, coolers or dryer, I would say, is something not so easy, sometimes a little complicated.
Hmm.
Can and I think it's also important to say that this is a very crucial part, right? So, from if we talk today about the gas sampling probes, meaning the sample extraction, yeah,
Hmm.
and the transport of the gas sample with the gas heated sample lines. In all of these two areas, we will not do any change to the sample we want to measure, right?
Hmm.
But this is
Yes.
different to the conditioning system, to the cooling or drying system, because in this, uh, let's say, in this area, we really changed something. So, yeah, I think that is a big difference to outline here. So I'm also looking forward to this sample conditioning, this probe sample conditioning gas dryer solutions
Hmm. Hmm.
webinar, which will then be at the middle of July. Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Jemson, if you go to the next slide, please. Yeah, and I think it's also nice. My dear colleague Thorsten says, "Hey, and hello and good morning from Hochheim." We have Jose here from the Middle East. Great to have you joining our show and our area. I think we're gonna give also the world team and show the world team at the very end of this webinar. Okay, let's make this part pretty short, Jemson, because the comments I received from the last webinar were, oh yeah, that was very interesting topics, and we want and we need to see, yeah, even more details. So, very short. PSG. What does PSG do? What does PSG stand for? The planet smiles green is our vision. I think we are all sharing the same vision. We need the planet also to be there for the kids and our grandkids and even the kids after this. Um, and what is our contribution to this? Our contribution clearly is perfect sample gas. So we work every day, Gemsen or worldwide, to support the analyzer with the perfect sample gas solution. And that really starts as we develop and manufacture topic of today for sampling, meaning for the extraction of the gas sample, the gas sampling probes, the heated sample lines, and also the conditioning of the gas. System integration is something we do, I would say, pretty much successful here in but more in Germany. And I think it's an important capability because only if you also do the system integration, you can develop very smart and good new products. So I think that's an important topic. Okay, Jemson, I think, yeah, just a brief overview 70 game changers, how we would like to call them, are fighting, developing, are working with us every day to get our customer the perfect sample gas solution. And that's what we are very proud on. And something I would like to outline here, if you just shortly, James, because it's important. We're going to see later one of our ATEX or IECX solutions for the gas extraction for the gas sampling probes. And this is something we are also quite proud of, to be ATEX and ICX certified here in our production. Okay, yeah, enough of overview. Um, so, Jameson, do you want to explain the different PSG product strategies in your words? I think I did the last time. Maybe it's good that you help me out here.
Yeah, so I'm glad, to say that we have classified or categorized into three major application. All right, we started off with the basic. All right, mainly we are talking about standard. All right, many of those are the emission monitoring system. You see, we have emission monitoring talking about probes. We have a standard of 3 port. Right, it's a standard. We have a one sample out, one back push, as well as one calibration. Okay, but we know that the emission monitoring, they are very clean. All right, it is the
Mhm.
last part of the process, right? But there, in the flue gas journey, there are many processes, like including denox, desulfurization, combustion, fast CO2 control for coal application, and then that falls into the plus. The plus is a slightly more sophisticated than the basic, and we really count on in the process with corrosion, high dust, high temperature, and also physical property changes. The moment we remove them, what are the things that we are going to handle? We put it under the plus series, which is extension of basic. Lastly, we have the process. Yeah, process whereby they sometimes the process different from a flue gas is that the process might have a slightly difference in terms of pressure. Yeah, they might have a extreme sample conditioning system. All right, and then it could requires not just a flue gas but on a different classification. Okay, so in the process we have different materials. We have glass, we have PVDF, we have stainless steel, different kinds of to meet the process condition. Yeah, so this is an overview of a PSG products.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you, Jameson. I really like the way how you describe this. Yeah, I think it makes it easier for the people to understand. Okay, yeah. I mean, and let me refer here to our last webinar. If someone is interested to get a general overview of the several components, please refer to our last webinar. Um, I think the most important sentence here is, or maybe it's two sentence. So first of all, the analyzer system can only perform as good as the sample handling system. So only if this works hand in hand, then you can expect very trustful, solid, and good results in your analyzer system with a high availability. I think there's another sentence which came from you, James, which I like a lot, and I think that's a sentence that there is not just the only or just one sampling system. Can you explain that a little bit more for the
Yeah,
people?
I always, sharing with my business partners in PSG business partner, it was that, there never be one pair of shoe that fits all sizes. And
Right.
therefore, it really needs a bit of knowledge. Yeah, and
Okay.
why we have probes is designed this way. The heated
Okay.
line has to be connected in certain ways and certain temperatures, and uh, for example, the heated sample line, we call it the analytical heated sample line. The word
Right.
analytical actually covers a lot of other meanings. We have taken into consideration about losses, the transportation, the absorptions. All right. So as long as it is material is concerned, we wanted to derive at the end is to have a representative sample so that the analyzers is able to measure accurately.
Yeah. 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 I think that's yeah, that brings us pretty much to the point. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. If we continue, Jemson, what is the most, if we look at the gas sampling probes, what is the new requirements? What do you think is the changes? I think there's something you already mentioned in your introduction, which is that, yeah, we see changes, or when we talk purely about emission monitoring.
Mhm.
I think this is the clean part of the process, because there's certain regulations which define the dust, how much dust can still be there. So I think this is where we see some changes and some even some requirements.
Mhm.
Any more from your side regarding
Yeah,
what do you see as new requirements, Jameson?
I'm more familiar with the Southeast Asian. All right,
Mm-hmm.
speaking from the Southeast Asian, the small changes over here is the downtime. A lot of the end user, in fact, the environmental ministries are emphasizing about the amount of allowable downtime, meaning
Mm-hmm.
that especially we talk about the probes. The probes is the only equipment or components that is exposed to the sample, and
Mm-hmm.
in this probe is mounted above, far above the ground normally, and nobody wants to reach out to the probe to do a simple filter replacement, you see.
That's right. That's
So
right. So
therefore,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. So therefore, it is very critical for us that in the sample probe design, all right, our PSG sample probe has taken into consideration a few factors. Factors number one is safety. Factors
Mm-hmm.
number two is a prolonged maintenance interval. Factor
Right.
number three, so you don't have to rely on tools to replace the filter element.
Right.
Factor number
Yeah.
four, which is the most critical one, which many people don't believe, all right, is that once our probe is put up in the stack based on the emission monitoring of generally is less than 100 milligram per meter cube, our probes up there without a back purge. Even though you do need a back purge, you do not need attention after 1 year just to
Yeah.
replace the filter as part of the
Yeah.
maintenance.
I think that's a great advantage of this technology. That's true. Okay, if you go to the next slide, please, Jimson. I think this is also important to say. I think in the past, the focus was more on the heated filter, if we call it like this. When we look at gas sampling probes, the GSP line, yeah, it's more the heated filter. We discussed a lot in the long time, but at the end, it's important to mention that there's the sampling itself is done via the sampling tube, and this probe tube or sampling tube, which you can see here, can already do a lot of effects into the
Mhm.
sampling and the extraction. So we see more and more cases where heated um, probe tube is required. And this is because if there is already some condensate in the probe tube, I mean, this is what we always say: when you have condensate somewhere, you're gonna have and see changes in your measurement for sure, right?
Yeah, yeah. In fact,
Yeah.
there are two things I like to share, which is very commonly asked, right, in my region, is
Mm-hmm.
that do we need to buy the sample probe tube from PSG where they can,
Mm-hmm.
available in their country. All right. This is
Mm-hmm.
my answer to you. Yeah. For all,
Mm-hmm.
first, the probe tube that we are supplying is 316 Ti, all right, with
Mm-hmm.
titanium coating.
Mm-hmm.
But the powder coating is to prolong the corrosion. Point number one. Point number two, considering the high velocity of the stacks, all right, 15 meter per second, we have to understand that the probes are able to withstand this high velocity against the resonance All right, so be
Right.
careful. Yeah, you can buy the
Yeah.
probe locally, no issue.
Mhm.
Just take note on this, what I say.
On the specification. You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Jimson, if we look at the next side, and yeah, this is just the overview slide. If you can continue there, basic, plus, and process. I think you introduced the different kind of technologies we have there. But there's one thing we will emphasize or we will focus on later. This is back purging.
Hmm.
Because that is a very special measurement or very special topic we need sometimes. And like you already teased, there's some solution where we at PSG even don't need a back purge, where others would need it. So, but if you continue to the next slide, I think, yeah, this should give an overview. Where are we? So we, with the gas sampling tube and the gas filter or the gas sampling probe, like we describe here, we want to make sure in SAM's context, but also for process measurements when there is some dust. So sometimes we also call this a quality gate, right? Because the gas sampling probe should manage, for example, some dust or particles which you want to remove. Otherwise, you have to handle this later in the process. So it might, yeah, get an impact on your heated line. It could obviously also be a problem then short before the analyzer. So anything you can handle here, quite important, you should. So this is also important to say. We have been developing, constantly developing new solutions, starting with the PSG Basic Probe. I'm going to show you. This is a product already in the market, super good established. Um, I would say the easy to go solution for standard SEMs with not a super high dust and yeah, even managing. Then we have the Plus Pro, which can come with a double back purge. And ever since 2020, roughly, we have the ATEX solution, something I have here in my background. Maybe you can already see this. And I'm very excited to show you it in real very soon. And then we are also releasing the PSG Neo probe. What is this? This will be a very special, a new probe concept, which yeah has some very unique features. But I think we're going to show this in another webinar, just particularly for this new product line. Okay, Jemson, if you go to the next slides, I think let's skip this one. Filtration is something which is important. And Jemson, if you could maybe already explain a little bit about this, then I get prepared to show it in real.
Hmm.
So, Jimson, if you can talk, go to the next slide, please, or the day we even maybe the next one, which gives an overview of the different. How does the filtration work? And maybe you can explain this. In the meantime, I'm gonna unmount here the PSG Basic Probe. Okay.
Yeah, so I think now these are two things that I always emphasize about the design from the Germans product. From what really we talk about today is the filtration, is filtering from the outside to inside. So the point here is that many people is also can do the same. What really difference today is about back perch, about back perch. You know, when is yo, are you ready? Before I,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I
I also,
already prepared. I already give you. Hopefully, it's good to see. Let me switch a little bit
yeah,
from the perspective, maybe. Yeah,
yeah,
Jimson. I think everyone can see this quite clear. So this is
yeah,
the basic probe. It's very. It has a very sufficient heater. We only need 100 oh, I need to check this. No, we have
Yeah.
250 watts here to achieve the holding temperature of 180 degrees. And for such a big filter, this is what you just said, Jemison, it's a very compact design.
Hmm.
This the solution you see here is our self-regulating solution. It has a thermostat controller here, and it's also there's something I would like to explain here about the design of this flange clamp, because it's not only the flange clamp is not only used to, let's say, close this and make this tight in the operation of the probe, but also it can be used as a handle. So when you mount it like this and you screw the screw in, it's going to give you some extra pressure, which makes it super easy to remove the filter if needed. And I think that's a nice thing, because sometimes when you heat up the probe for 180 or 200 degrees, or it's even operating, it gets a lot of heat from the process. It can get very tough on the, how you say that, O-rings here, Jimson?
Yeah, the seal,
The,
the seal,
yeah,
the O-rings, yeah, the seal.
yeah,
Yeah.
the seal, yeah, and that one gets could get very tough. So I would say it's a very compact, it's a nice design with a big filter, and we indicated also that even if you have a higher number of dust, where in other applications you might already need a back purge, this one wouldn't be needed here.
Yeah. In many of the, it is important that the customers are must aware that the probe is not just simply a mechanical device. It is really we making sure that the heating temperature are evenly distributed, all right, throughout the 180 degrees C, and to ensure that you can see that in Germany they have a during the winter season they are pretty cold, all right. So the design of this is not just the heater, but it is distributed of the heat that surround the entire filter element.
Yeah, yeah, that's another important thing. Okay, Jemson, let's talk about back purging. And I would like to share this. I think it's some time ago, but it's always nice to show what is the secret of our gas sampling probes. It's not only the filter surface, but it is also the efficiency of the back purging. And
Yes.
I think that's nice to see in this simulation kind of to really show what how efficient our solution there is, right?
This is something which I like to share with many of my audience here is that
Hmm.
back purge is merely a philosophy. So it does not mean that you have a filter element, especially a ceramic filter element, which is such a thick surface that you're able to carry out back purge. All right, back purge requires certain technologies in the design. All right. Uh, in as far as back push is concerned, I like to tell you there's a secret of designing is the filter element itself to couple with the way the body is designed in such a way that you're able to carry out a back push effectively. I repeat,
Yeah.
yeah, back push is only a philosophy. Yeah, so making sure that the back push that you purchase today, all right, that you're able to carry out because of the filter element that we provide is actually is a multi-layer.
Yeah. Yeah, but also I have a nice example here which we can show. This is the ATEX probe. So this is ATEX approved back purging solution. I fully understand this product, because when you have a sampling or extraction in ATEX areas, you are almost it's yeah by law, it is your duty to really reduce the presence of people in this sampling area. So I think yeah, a little bit proud, I must say. That's maybe the most efficient way to do gas extraction or sample extraction in ATEX or hazardous areas, or even IACX areas. Yeah, thank you, Jimson. That is a nice overview because this combines all the advantages we have in our gas sampling probes. We have the big
Yeah.
filter element. Yeah, Jimson,
And this is
please.
this is something I borrow from your what you have explained to me during the training, was that when the factory designed the ATAX probe, it has one particular reason. This reason is called safety
Yeah,
and safety. Nobody wants to go to an hazardous area, all right, the personnel that goes up the stack, all right, and the amount of times that repeatedly just to change your filter element, all right, because it's
yeah,
hazardous. Therefore,
yeah,
the way we design this is to ensure that to limit the amount of time and number of
yeah,
frequency for the technicians to
yeah.
attend to the need of the filter.
Yeah, that's right. And even, I mean, this is a German design that you can see with this, I would say, even, yeah, great housing here. So we can even operate this in very cold areas, which for you is not the case, Jemsen. Yeah, but I think that we see a lot of demand for this type of solutions because there's more and more emission monitoring or sample gas sampling probe demand, even in ATEX areas. So, yeah, I think that should give a good overview of the range. We started from the PSG basic probe for more standard SEMS applications, and now we continued and went on to the yeah one of the most extreme ones, right? Okay, Jemson, I think we are almost again done. It's crazy how time flies here. Um, I would like to thank you, Jemson, for supporting me in this webinar. And maybe on the last slide, you can show this is our world team. So please reach out. Oh, this. So please reach out to our great team there. Jose from the Middle East, Antonio Mena from South America, and obviously Michael Wu, which I visited, who I visited last week in China. So reach out to the guys. I'm always impressed how knowledgeable you guys are, how deep you can support the customer in their applications. And thank you for your time. Thank you for watching, and see you at the 1st of July when we talk about the sample transportation. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jamson, thank you
Meanwhile,
so much. Yeah, please.
join us, right? Join us as a follower,
Yeah,
so that we can always have the updated technologies about gas sampling.
yeah, that would be nice.
Cheers.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Jamson. Bye, bye, bye.